255 days and 32 hours and counting ahead of the general elections in 2017. The headlines in the Daily Nation and the Standard today. The Daily Nation says Raila is man under siege. Some people say under siege, like Enokot was telling me. The Standard says locking horns. Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta is accusing Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga of trying to trivialize everything his government is doing. Before we took the break, I promised the two gentlemen on the extremes that we'll start with you. Mheshimiwa Kenyatta.
First and foremost, when you look at situations where power is being exercised in a monolithic manner, probably there you can have academic requirements which are quite high. For instance, when you talk about a CEO of a company, it's a person who is exercising power alone, almost alone. And when you look at a person, let's say like a governor or even a president, probably you can have that idea of having quite high education standards. But when you have a situation where power is being exercised in a collegiate manner, for instance in a school board, you strive for what we call diversity. So the same principle applies in the National Assembly, in the County Assembly, because there we have so many people who are not exercising power alone. They are doing it in a collegiate manner. So you look for a young person, you look for an old person, you look for gender, you look for disability, you also look for the educated and also uneducated. So to me, when you have this idea of having a requirement that MCAs, members of parliament, members of the Senate must have degrees, to me is wrong. You are killing the aspect of diversity, because we also need those people who are not educated to be in parliament, so that they give us the experiences, so that those experiences are the one which crystallize into a law. But when you have a situation where all of them are educated, you are going to miss out.
The thought process would be the same.
And by the way, look here, in Kenya, the people who have degrees, to the best of my knowledge, they are about 700,000, isn't it? I would imagine. 700,000 in a population of about, the adult population in Kenya, maybe you exclude children, you have about 20 million adults, isn't it? So 24 million adults vis-a-vis 700. It means you're going to reduce the pool from which you can get leaders. You shrink it from 24 million to about 700,000. To me, that would be an unfair exclusion.
And on this issue, on the front pages of the Daily Nation and the Standard?
Yes.
Politics rearing its head.
Well, the
ahead
point
of
is,
politics 2017.
Yes, the point is, the fact is, we do have a lot of corruption that is happening in the counties, whether those counties are in CORD or even Jubilee. But there's a difference between Jubilee and CORD-affiliated counties. In Jubilee-affiliated regions, you will see an effort on the part of the MCAs to bring accountability and escalate those issues to the Senate. A good example is Murang'a County, Nyeri County, you can even talk of Kericho County, and several other counties where those, Embu County, where those matters have escalated to the Senate. Whether those issues have been successful or not is neither here or there. But that attempt alone, it shows our people, our MCAs, they have made an effort to ensure there is clean government. But what is happening in CORD? In CORD, you find evidence, as per the reports which have been tabled by the Auditor General, of misappropriation of funds, and nothing is being done. In fact, the story is the party called ODM is the one which is telling the MCAs, no, don't act on these people. They help us. They support our activities. So you find in Kilifi, nothing has been done against Governor Kingi.
But some people have been suspended.
Well, fine. Look here, we are talking about that responsibility which must repose on the governor. It's the governor who is the ultimate executive and the CEO of that company called Kilifi County. So the same applies in other counties. Look here in this city of ours.
And Uhuru,
an MCA made an attempt. He made an attempt to commence proceedings against Kidero. Of course, those attempts did not come into fruition. But after that, he was taken before the disciplinary committee of ODM. He has now been recommended for expulsion. Why? For merely raising issues of accountability before the Assembly of Nairobi. So to me,
so he says.
So to conclude, his party leader is the head of a huge system of corruption, And to me, Kenya should never.
You have said the governor is the chief executive of a company called Kilifi County. The same way Uhuru Kenyatta is the chief executive of a company called Kenya. But I want Mheshimiwa
No, but we are doing something.
Yeah, I want
Him is not doing something. We are
several allegations.
We are doing something.
Let me first, say something about, the education sector that we just left. And let me start by saying that, a lot has been achieved in terms of reforms in the education sector under our Matiang'i. I call him our Matiang'i because he's the only CS from the wider Nyanza. I don't believe Rachel Mamo is a CS.
But she is.
And is not.
She is, and she sits in the cabinet.
The Minister for Defense is the President, is the Commander-in-Chief. She's a flower girl there. But our Matiang'i is
no, Rachel Mamo is a senior in the legal profession. Have some respect to her.
One thing is clear.
Don't call
the public is watching, and we cannot afford to give them wrong information. A CS is a CS.
Because it's a woman.
What is the structure of government?
Because it's a woman.
What I need to tell you.
Use different language. You can say.
I want to go to what I need to go to.
I was corrected on this show for language. Let me tell you. You think she's a figurehead?
Okay, this is my show. This is my show, guys. I moderate the show. Mheshimiwa Peter Kaluma, at this point, you have to apologize to Rachel Mamo and the women.
You should withdraw. I also withdraw my.
I will withdraw, but not apologize, because I believe the Ministry of Defense, if you remember previously.
Do you remember what you said about what we do to the minds of children?
Let me tell you.
That's exactly coming back to
unless, Charles, you don't understand the structure of government.
I do, but it has nothing to do with flower girl.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let us not divert from what we are dealing with.
But you have to apologize.
She's a figurehead. She's a figurehead. She has no substantive portfolio. Let me say it that way. It's a shallow ministry without anything for her to do. But that is my opinion.
Still, Mheshimiwa.
That is my opinion.
Okay,
let me withdraw it.
The word flower girl.
No, that's what I've withdrawn.
Apologize.
I've said
apologize.
I've apologized to that, but she needs a much more substantive.
Thank you. Now go on. Now go on. It's okay, Ken. Now go on.
Now, what I wanted to say is that we still have a lot to do, even with the good reforms brought by Matiang'i. If you look at the Education Act, my brother Ken, there is a section, 26 of the University Education Act. It says the national government shall establish, a public university in each and every county. We were thinking of how we could have universities modeled around the American state universities. Not that you have a university like Nairobi, in Homa Bay, in every corner of the country with satellites, without proper controls. I think that is the direction Matiang'i needs to take, the thing to. That we establish standards and we have these county-based, universities, competing on quality standards, and then we ensure it. We don't want to hear the president, because he has no, stiff and strict mandate of controlling, quality and standards in universities, giving directions. Number two, let me agree with Kangata for once, that, mere academic qualifications do not make you a leader. But really, let us also remember at the level of county assembly and at the level of National Assembly and the Senate, we do some particular, roles which require some basic, qualifications. If you are talking about, budgeting and oversighting budget, we are blaming governors for theft all over. But do you know, Charles, there is no single coin a governor should use, or the executives of the county should use, without it being budgeted for by the county assembly and being checked across. So we need some, intellectual wherewithal. Even if it is standard 8, that would enable you to understand, those important, tasks and unsecure issues of integrity and accountability at that level. So I agree with you. It is not just basic academic qualifications, but let us have some bare minimums. Let me come to, the issue of locking-ons. Charles, I'm damn shocked that headlines, of all, media, tend to give the idea that it is Raila's duty to fight corruption, and that, something the opposition leader is doing gratis, out of grace, is something for which you can say is under siege about. I've looked at the statement of Raila Odinga over Kilifi. And by the way, I want to challenge you to get it and look at it at the second paragraph. Raila says the instruments for fighting corruption is with the national government. EACC is not devolved to the counties. The office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is not devolved. There is no county wing of them, though they have grassroots, networks going down there. These are national government, institutions. The judiciary is not devolved. All these other institutions. And Raila is saying, I want the national government to see what happened in Kilifi and approach matters corruption that way. And Raila says, we will not condone corruption, even if it is being pervaded by an ODM, governor or what. But he says, if it is Raila who is corrupt, let the national government, using those instrumentalities and tools we have, deal with them. I mean, what is double speak there? It is like acknowledging that Raila, better and can better fight corruption by the other. Remember, we have achieved so much in terms of exposing. But really, what instrument in terms of fight, other than just highlighting cases, has Raila to deal with? So I would say that let us, focus, matter corruption. And let me end by saying, Charles, that we are losing mind-boggling monies to corruption. Kangata and I know that each year we are losing over a third of our national budget. Our national budget is 2.3 trillion. That is over 700 billion to corruption. Our entire CDF allocation for the entire nation is there some 30 billion. You can imagine, gentlemen, what we would do with our 700 billion in terms of those education and the poverty issues, Ken Okoth we're talking about. Let us depoliticize. Let us remove tribe and ethnic thinking around matters, corruption. And political parties. Kingi did very well. And I said here last Friday that Kingi was only a class ahead of me. Kangata came after me. If I were to be, faced with evidence that Kingi committed a wrong, I would deal with him. Let us not say Kingi should leave. When Kingi got information, and let me clarify this, Kangata, this drawing on Kilifi was made on the Kilifi account with the central bank in Nairobi. Yesterday we had a press conference. That is what is being investigated now. Yeah. By the way, it was withdrawn here. The people in Kilifi whose passwords were used, the 10 of them, were suspended by Kingi immediately, and it is Kingi who summoned EACC and the DCI to deal with the matter. What we need to hear from EACC, if it is Kingi, in your investigations you confirm, did it? Tell us. Let us hear this from DCI and others. But let us not politicize it. You start saying Kingi should be punished simply because we are playing politics. I think it is wrong.
We seem to have only 2 minutes. It's unfortunate, Ken.
One minute each.
Yeah. Wrapping up, And I want to say something. I hear Honorable Kaluma speak and say that because education sector is going very well with Matiang'i, who is their person, the president has no direct power to direct anything. But the president has direct powers when it comes to corruption. When it is coming to taking responsibility, they say the president has the power. But when it is good, they say it is the CS to deal. And I want to say that because you said it actually. You said the CS is the one with the direction, who can give direction.
No, I've not said the CS.
But when it is a good thing, and this narrative, this narrative has to be, I've said it before, it has to be honest from either side, that we are dealing with issues. And I say that because, when we see Raila say now Kingi is a whistleblower, but Waiguru was not a whistleblower, depending on who it is. Look at even the Afya Sacco, the Afya Saga. They say Mailu, because he's a Mkamba, that one, he has no responsibility. Let us go for Macharia. We must deal with the issues the same way you say.
One thing that one thing we have to hold clear. One thing we have
I've said narrative. I've said narrative.
Mailu was not there when the money was stolen.
Because we have seen it. But you cannot say Kingi is a whistleblower and someone else is not because he's not in your account. I've said it here, and I said it yesterday even in the Senate as I sit in the Public Accounts Committee. We know it is not propaganda. In fact, the issue of corruption is not even in just CORD counties. It is in every county, and I can assure you that because we have seen it happen. Even the books of Kingi and Kilifi, we have looked at and we have flagged those issues from the Auditor General.
And they're being addressed.
And they are already being addressed. We have started with the ACC, we have started with DCI, we have started even with the asset recovery.
That's good.
Because we want to be protected. But we cannot now say that when Raila says about something, it has to be taken as the gospel truth and cannot be challenged.
That's why you're investigating, right?
That is what and Raila has to stand, and now he's actually deflecting the attention. By now giving a bill. He was in Parliament for how many years? 30 or 20? How many bills did he table? Now he wants. But the problem now he wants us to be a legislator. No. I'm just saying, let us not deflect issues. In fact, it's now the body language of Raila. You can see he has been act. He's already now trying to deflect everything, lining up the MPs and saying we'll bring this bill to the MPs. I mean, let us be honest, in this fight, it has to be from both sides. You're not CORD or Jubilee. Let us fight corruption.
Mheshimiwa Ken Okoth, looks like the fight against corruption has really been politicized. Your take as we wind up on this issue.
I remember in March 2013, the afternoon that the Supreme Court ruled on the presidential petition, and somebody was saying, and I was present in the room, saying to the Prime Minister Raila that this is so sad, I feel so sorry for you, Pole. And he said to them, don't weep for me, weep for Kenya. 3 years down the road, the staggering levels of corruption and the deflection that the headlines are talking about Raila instead of about the accountability to stop the leaking of our money. The Kenyans who are suffering is not Raila. The Kenyans who are suffering are our children who next week we will not be able to fund free secondary education, which is only 25 billion to send all our Kenyan children to secondary school. It's not Raila. Raila's children have gone to school. So I think we should thank Raila for bringing these issues. The other thing is the headlines on the newspaper, they'll always sell them. If you don't put Raila on the headlines, no newspaper will sell. So let us just tell us the truth as it is. If you only put Uhuru on the headlines, the newspaper won't sell. But if you put Raila and dramatize things, it will sell. But let's stick to the issues. This is not about Raila. This is about our country, our resources, how are they managed, we uplift our people. Are they better off today than they were 3 years ago or 10 years ago? If Honorable Raila has brought a bill and a proposal that becomes a party bill by CORD to make sure that young people who get government tenders in Nakuru County, in Murang'a County, in Nairobi County, in Homa Bay County from the central government, if you get a tender, you're paid within 30 days regardless of who you know and how much bribe you have to pay. You know, prompt payment, even for the private sector. This is what will create jobs and spur our economy. So I think it's a good bill. Any private member can bring a bill, any member can sponsor it, and parties can take position. I'm proud that CORD will take this. I think there's more bills even on human rights issues, even a motion that I think if Jubilee is not ready to do, we should take up a motion on free secondary education, force the issue on this budget, and make sure that in the next election we have an issue we can say we delivered on. Free secondary education, cannot afford to it. So let us move around from billions and billions stolen to what could those billions, if properly used, to affect our people.
Yes, thank you very much. Quite insightful. Wow. Very thoughtful processes here. Gracious lady
and good language
and wonderful gentlemen here, free to give their opinion. Martha wants to.
We always do that. We always do that.
Yes. Maybe I don't believe, but I'll give it.
Let's go.
But no, I was just saying. Of course, we are. Of course, politicians will be headed to the counties, and I know I want to invite everyone to Gilgil Stadium on Sunday. We have a young upcoming musician known as Paparazzi that we are doing a major extravaganza to support him, supported by many corporates, and we'll be there, and we are hoping that you guys can join us.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa Kaluma?
Yes, you know, the president of the country has never visited Homa Bay County, despite traveling all over other counties and globetrotting. I want to invite, yes, I want to invite, you know, President Kenyatta to remember that Homa Bay County is in Kenya, and it's one of the biggest, actually the biggest county in Luo-Nyanza,
including Dingo Island.
But before he comes, our party leader, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, our greatest you know, leader down there, will be in Homa Bay County on 27th. Let the people of Homa Bay, you know, welcome him, because
for the memorial.
It's the leader we have, you know, as the people of Homa Bay. No, our president has disappeared. But lastly, if you expect, you know, Jubilee to fight corruption, I've said here before.
Mheshimiwa, has that got anything to do with the weekend plan?
Yes, that is why
we talk about something, and we will respond.
You know, no.
Let me talk to my weekend plan.
We will respond. Charles, let me tell you that really, you know, I hope that, you know, news for next week will be made when we come to Homa Bay. So I want to invite Senator Wangari and Kangata, and I'll send my message to the president. The people of Homa Bay are also Kenyans. Let him come there.
Thank you. Ken, your plan for the weekend?
My plans for the weekend is I welcome everybody to Kibra. As we go into the election, we have to think about peace in a cosmopolitan place like Kibra. Community relations, inter-ethnic relations, interfaith relations are important. And tomorrow we are celebrating this with a competition of 20 church choirs competing against each other on music and songs around that. And there'll be a lot of prize money, 100,000. for their top choirs to use to record their songs and promote their talent and also touch. So it's a positive thing, and we welcome everybody to the ACK Church in Makina. And you know, for other Kenyans everywhere in the, wherever they are, we wish them a peaceful weekend. And if you're around Nairobi, come and see our choir.
30 seconds.
Yes, this weekend is about preparations. We are preparing two major events which are set for next week. One, a presidential visit in Kiharu. The president is coming to commission some roads which are about to be paved, so which is going to happen on 29th of November, that is Tuesday. And also on that of December, at a place called Keno in Maragua, we shall be launching my senatorial bid.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Irungu Kang'ata, Mheshimiwa Ken Okoth, Mheshimiwa Martha Wangari, and Mheshimiwa Peter Opondo Kaluma. It was a pleasure having you guys around and talking about plans for the weekend. I want to start with Willis Rabudu and the band. I invite you for Nyama Choma after this. Willis, is it ready? Thank you very much.